Today we go over the Star Wars franchise when it comes to the writer Gary Whitta and what he had to say about The Last Jedi Backlash, Rian Johnson and his choices, and more. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, in case you guys have no idea who Gary Whitta is, he is the man who wrote the screenplay for Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and he's also doing the comic adaptation of Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, recently, speaking to Jedi News, he was able to express his opinion on The Last Jedi Backlash, Rian Johnson's decisions of The Last Jedi, and of course his views on everything involving the fan criticism going against the Star Wars franchise ever since the release of The Last Jedi. Now, speaking to Jedi News, this is what Gary Whitta had to say in response to this big question. Jedi News actually asked this: "The fans have been quite vocal about their criticism for the film. Were you surprised by this?" Now, before we get to the answer, guys, the full article can be found below in the description. Go ahead and check it out. This is what Gary Whitta had to say in response. "I think what you mean by that when you say the fans is actually a very noisy minority of fans. Look, I would not necessarily have made every choice that Rian made because I'm not the same person or writer or fan that he is. But I respect and admire and appreciate and support every choice he did make. The film he wrote is far braver and far more mature and more challenging than I could ever have written." He goes on to state, "I suspect that I would have written a more fan service driven film that would have appeased some of the noisy minority, but ultimately would have been a lesser and less important film because of it. Frankly, I'm disgusted by the treatment that Rian has received. He's not just one of the most talented filmmakers working today, but one of the most nicest people you could ever hope to meet in any walk of life. And both he and the film he made deserve far better." Now, the second question by Jedi News is this: "With all the criticism, I can imagine it must have felt like a huge pressure on yourself to get things right in the eyes of the fans. Did you make any edits to your adaptation as a result of the fan feedback?" Gary Whitta had this to say: "Nothing I did was in any way prompted by fan feedback. I made most of my big creative decisions on the adaptation and started writing before the film was even released. My approach when writing is not to worry about what other people want to see, but what I want to see, and then hope that my own instincts as a Star Wars fan are on point enough that other fans agree with the choices I made. Now, you'll only know and only drive yourself crazy worrying about what the fans want. You'll wind up telling an inferior story. So all of the editorial decisions I made were driven by things I wanted to see, but without upending, any of Rian Johnson's intent. So, for example, by flipping the POV in the Rey/Luke scenes from Rey to Luke, it gave me a chance to approach those scenes in a new way and add them in, but without altering anything fundamental about them. And also, it gave me a chance to write new dialogue for Luke Skywalker, which has always been a dream of mine, and some of it is simply motivated by making the best of what the comics medium has to offer." Now, this is what he also had to say: "Hearing a character's thoughts in a movie is really cheesy, but comics allow you to do that kind of thing of internal monologue in a way that is totally accepted and traditional in the form. So I was able to get inside Luke's head a little bit more and have him express his inner thoughts in a way that the movie might never have been allowed." So that's what Gary Whitta had to say about his view on the backlash, the fan criticism, Rian Johnson and his choices. And, it's funny that he mentioned how if he were to be the writer or the director of The Last Jedi, he would have provided a more fan-servicey movie. And to me, I think that we would have enjoyed that a whole lot more. I feel like that Gary Whitta would be a man who would have given us a major battle, a major lightsaber duel between both Luke and Kylo Ren, clashing saber to saber and having it as a real long lightsaber duel. I also feel like that Gary Whitta would have inserted more Force ghosts, maybe even Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi alongside with Yoda. I just feel like that, he would have also provided a you know, far different Luke Skywalker in the movie that we got from Rian Johnson. And I also disagree with Gary Whitta, though, in the very beginning there. I don't think that it's a vocal minority when it comes to the backlash and all the people, you know, essentially giving the negative feedback toward the movie and how all the criticism that The Last Jedi is receiving. I really don't believe it's a vocal minority that's very loud. I feel like that there's a whole lot more people around the world that are just not happy with the way Star Wars went with The Last Jedi. And some are more vocal than others, but I've spoken to a lot of people. There are other people that don't, you know, speak out on the internet, you know, writing comments or doing this and that. Some people just keep it to themselves and they're still not happy with the movie. So there are people out there that are also unhappy with the movie, just not saying it as well. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about Gary Whitta's comments on Rian Johnson, the backlash, the, you know, whole entire stage right now in which the Star Wars community and the franchise is in, and how he would have treated The Last Jedi. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.